Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our August partner seminar titled Hawaii's Path to Employment First. I'm Holly Manaseri. I'm a faculty member here at the University of Hawaii Center for Disability Studies and the Outreach Coordinator. And first, just a little bit about our partner seminar series. These events are held the second Thursday every other month at 1 p.m. And the purpose is to highlight the numerous community partnerships we have at the Center on Disability Studies. Truly, our partnerships are core to our mission as a university center for excellence in developmental disabilities, which is to promote diverse abilities across the lifespan through interdisciplinary training, research, and service. And it is indeed my pleasure to turn this over to my colleague here in the Center on Disability Studies, who is serving as host today. And Jared's going to introduce both himself and our presenter. So Jared, I'll turn this over to you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Montessori, and welcome to all of you who have logged in today and are going to join us for this great presentation. We are actually super privileged and super happy that he was able to accommodate us this month. Mr. Patrick Gartside, who will be presenting to us today on a number of topics, but mainly related to employment first and how it's just been signed into by our governor here in the state of Hawaii, which is a very exciting time. The start of possibly an employment first type of office in the state of Hawaii, and also a bunch of efforts related to getting the APSE chapter started here in Hawaii as well. We have actually had our first couple meetings, and we had a cohort from ours here in our Hawaii chapter actually attend the national conference over the summer. And Patrick and those that attended brought back some great information and actually made some great connections that he actually shared with us. And they came to our meeting a couple weeks ago and gave us some great strategies about how to get started. Patrick is actually a little bit of a celebrity that for some of you that may not know. This is not his first time being in the headlines, and he's been doing so with a number of different efforts, especially related to his nonprofit that he runs now, Work Now Hawai'i, and the work that he's doing to create employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. In addition to that, you guys may also have seen him do other things within his community, to basically spread aloha and kind of like raise to that sainthood type of stuff with things like his work with blood donations, some of the things that he's been in the news for and kind of famous for. And so we bow down to having Patrick today and having his celebrity status in our midst today. So sit back, folks, relax. So everybody knows the session is being recorded today for those that came on late. And Patrick will have hosting abilities and be able to share screens with us. We'll ask that everybody, if it's possible, to stay muted throughout the presentation. And if you'd like to keep your cameras off, you're welcome to as well. Without further ado, we'll turn the time over to Patrick. And again, thank you for being here today. Take it away, buddy.
I just want to say thank you for that kind introduction. I'm very happy to be here today to share a little bit more about Employment First and what's been going on in the state of Hawaii with Employment First, and a little bit about Work Now Hawaii. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to share my screen here. Just want to start with a quick introduction about myself. My name is Patrick Gartside. I'm a certified employment support professional, certified work incentive practitioner. A lot of the things I like to talk about are nonprofits, employment first, entrepreneurship, leadership development. One exciting fact about me, though, I'm a new father. My son, Taiki, is 10 months old this weekend. He's been an amazing addition to my life. My wife and I adore him tremendously. A little bit about me. I'm the founder and executive director of Work Now Hawaii. We help make disability employment work. We have a transition age youth work experience program, which we'll speak about a little bit later. We provide free employment services to gap group individuals. We are a ticket to work employment network, so helping individuals with SSI or SSDI navigate their way back into the workforce. And then we do some consulting and contract work, disability employment assistance programs for organizations, and also moving into helping improve service outcomes through the use of data and technology. My training background, I'm a certified employment support professional. It's a sort of certification through the Association of People Supporting Employment First, which we'll learn about in a little bit. Benefits and work incentive practitioner. So really having a good fundamental understanding of the benefits systems that people with disabilities often have to navigate. I'm a certified Association of Community Rehabilitation Educators. And then I belong to a couple of professional groups. One is the Hawaii APSE chapter that we just are working on forming. We're a chapter in development right now. And then I'm also part of a national cohort of people supporting Employment First leadership. It's the Employment First Leaders Group, meeting regularly, trying to help improve employment services through leadership around the country. So, but why is this work important to me? I'm someone who's had challenges with mental health all of my life, and I've learned to overcome some of the challenges to improve my own employment outcomes. And I want to help others overcome their challenges and find paths to independence and self-sufficiency. Move you guys out of the way here. Just a second here. Okay, but today we're here to talk about Hawaii's path to employment first, which has been very exciting. So for those of you that don't know what Employment First is an effort taken on by states to change systems and create a reality of meaningful work for all people with disabilities, including people with significant and complex disabilities. There is no standard definition for Employment First, but this is one that's universally used. It's from the Department of Labor, Office on Disability Employment and Policy. So what does Employment First mean? Just means a few things. It's people with disabilities should be able to work if they want to in our communities and in the same place as non-disabled people. People with disabilities should be able to get the supports that they need to work. People with disabilities should be able to earn the same wages that their non-disabled peers do. And people with disabilities should be able to get real work for real pay as the first choice, instead of the government trying to try something else before it tries that. So real work for real pay, this brings up competitive integrated employment. And what that means, once again, is people with disabilities performing their jobs alongside people without disabilities, and then having the opportunity to advance or be promoted just like everybody else. Sometimes it's helpful to define something by defining what it's not. So what Employment First is not? Well, it's not charity. This model, which has been historically used, infers that people with disabilities are otherwise helpless, incapable, and should be grateful to have a job at all. And that's not the case. We believe that people with disability have value. It's not pity. We don't recommend that businesses hire a person with a disability because they feel it's the right thing to do, or what you perceive as another's misfortune. It's not a misfortune. It's not a quota. There's mandates on hiring for federal contractors, and oftentimes it turns out to be people just checking a box. Hiring a person with a disability is not checking a box on a government form. It's with a superficial commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not a good hustle. People with disabilities aren't there at least trying their best. Once again, people with disabilities, they provide value in the workplace. Work Now Hawai'i, which we'll talk about later, is a proof of concept that hiring people with disabilities makes business sense. And it's not selective. A person's access to employment should never be restricted due to the type or complexity of a disability. So why is this important? Well, many people with disabilities want to work. And unfortunately, the statistics say that not everybody with a disability has that opportunity. 21.3% of Americans age 16 and over with disabilities were working, while their non-disabled counterparts, it's much higher, 67.1%. This is from the Board of Labor Statistics. So what's wrong with what we've been doing? Well, low expectations. By not having employment consistently part of the conversation, missed opportunities in preparing for the workforce lead to low employment rates. People who are work capable often end up in segregated adult day health facilities. There's also misperceptions. A lot of people think that people with disabilities who need a lot of support cannot work a real job. Because of these perceived disabilities, companies don't often give people with disabilities a chance. We used to have outdated laws. Thank goodness Hawaii has done away with what's called a 14C certificate. But there are national labor laws allowing people with disabilities to be paid less than non-disabled peers and even sub-minimum wages. And that's just not right. So there's a lot of things that we've been doing for some time, and moving forward, we're trying to improve the outcomes, and we're making progress. So progress in Hawaii, what are we doing right? Recently, and I think it's been over the past few years, the Center on Disability Studies and the Hawaii Employment First Task Force has been working on a cooperative agreement. And this helps to shift public resources to be aligned with these newly established policies that make competitive, integrated employment the top priority for the agencies when serving people with disabilities. And this stems from WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This stems from these employment first initiatives that we're going to be talking a little bit more about. But a little bit more about the cooperative agreement is the desired outcomes. So the desired outcomes of this cooperative agreement are to clarify the roles and enable stronger collaboration amongst partners. And that leads to an increased number of individuals with significant disabilities obtaining competitive and integrated employments. So this means agencies being able to share referrals, send referrals to other agencies, share cases, share training. So there's a lot of opportunity to work together that hasn't been as easy in the past. Generally, the cooperative agreement says it's a braiding of resources. It's ability to provide cross-system trainings. It's employer engagement, identifying competitive integrated employment opportunities, identifying career pathways, increasing the employer engagement efforts, and measuring effectiveness of these efforts. The cooperative agreement working between state Medicaid agencies and state agencies serving with people with disabilities, and to coordinate assistive technology programs, reasonable accommodations to help people succeed in the workforce. It extends partnerships, including ticket to work and self-sufficiency programs, increases outreach services, which is very important, reaching out to families, clients, and the business communities. And one thing that I like is they mentioned publishing material in clear languages for individuals and families and networks of supports and access. So I'll try to keep the acronyms to a minimum today. Sometimes we all work in the field, so we get comfortable with these things, but clear language so everybody's on the same page. The partner agencies that are looking to be involved in this cooperative agreement, I believe most of these have signed the agreement, and I think we're just waiting on one of the stakeholders, but the Department of Human Services, Division of Voc Rehab, Department of Education, Department of Health, which includes Adult Mental Health, Developmental Disability Division, Child and Adolescent Mental Health, DD Council, I think they signed on their own, and the University of Hawaii. being there as a technical assistance and training and resources. So it's a great partnership between these agencies, now having the opportunity to collaborate, to share information, to share cases, to avoid redundancies in the system, just the opportunity to work together. So that's been very exciting, and I think that should be signed hopefully pretty soon. We're just waiting, I think, on one more signature. But one other thing that has happened just recently was the Employment First bill. So we passed legislation and it was signed into law, HB 1787, regarding Employment First as policy for state and counties. It passed its final reading in the House on May 5th, and it was signed into law by Governor Ige on July 12th, 2022. So we're making progress, but what does this Employment First bill mean? Well, employment services are the first choice of services that are offered for persons with disabilities receiving assistance from publicly funded systems. We talked a little bit about that earlier. State and county agencies shall ensure that Employment First is effectively implemented in hiring practices and all programs and services administered and funded by the state and counties, including program services that help people with disabilities obtain employment. So all state and county agencies shall coordinate their efforts and collaborate, ensure that programs, policies, procedures, and funding support competitive integrated employment as in an integrating setting for people with disabilities. All state and county agencies, when feasible, may share data and information to track progress toward full implementation of this section. So it's very exciting to have Employment First passed. It's exciting to have a cooperative agreement almost in place. And then we've taken one more step to start a local chapter of the Association of People Supporting Employment First. APSE is a membership organization focused exclusively on Employment First, and it's to facilitate the full inclusion of people with disabilities in the workplace. So we're bringing the voices to the table, and we see this as an important tier, an important piece of this plan. So why did we start the APSE chapter? So to assist the establishment, expansion, and refinement of quality employment for individuals with disability. We're there to advocate for social change consistent with the desire of individuals with disabilities. And we're there to support individuals with disabilities in their efforts and rights in education, employment, and community living. We became a chapter in development in, oh goodness, May. And then we're having quarterly meetings as a group. And we'll be having committee meetings and doing a lot of the work in between, probably with some monthly meetings. Hawaii APSE members includes, we have self-advocates, we have family and supports, we have service providers and professionals, state agencies, community employers, educators and transition coordinators, and then hopefully some of you. We'd love for you to join the conversation and get involved. We need more voices. We need your voices. So please consider coming to an upcoming meeting or perhaps joining the chapter as a member. It's an open door policy. The more voices, the better. The more members that we have, the more support that we have for these initiatives. So please consider, once again, joining an upcoming meeting or joining our chapter as a member. We meet quarterly on the first Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. We met in May, August. Our next meeting will be in November. If you're interested in being invited to this, please send us an email. It's info@hawaiiapse.org, info@hawaiiapse.org. Or to sign up, if you want to be a member, please sign up right on the APSE website, apse.org/membership. We'd love to have you as a member. We do have a limited amount of scholarships available. So if that's something that you're interested in, please, once again, you can just send us an email. We'd love to have you as part of our conversation. But why is this just the beginning? So we've got these three vehicles. We've got a cooperative agreement. We're on an Employment First state. We've got an APSE chapter. But I think some of the next discussions that I don't necessarily have the answers for, so I'd love to hear from some of you. How do we fuel the vehicle? how do we move forward and hold each other accountable? So we talked about the different mechanisms that we have with the cooperative agreement and legislation, but what does that look like? So the stakeholder engagement. So making sure that for advocates, we are engaging at all stages, including early education, when there's transition, job seeking and job supports as needed. Family and support circles, collaborating with families and support circles to encourage skill building and networking, leading to competitive employment outcomes. Thinking here also fits dispelling myths about benefits. I think one big barrier has always been, family and self-advocates' perception of benefits. So engaging family early on to dispel some of those myths. Educators and transition teams, so helping to set expectations of work, building employment into IEPs, and having these conversations about transition. The state agencies being responsible for helping job seekers with their employment goals, helping service providers and professionals, providing resources, strategies, technology, to support job seekers in competitive employment. There's a lot of changes and there's a lot of really great things being done around the country. So having some of those best practices brought back to Hawaii to help these service providers and professionals with their employment first initiatives. And then I think we've talked about engaging employers, but helping employers understand the economic and social value of hiring people with disabilities. So some of our possible areas of focus: collaboration. I think it would be fantastic to establish communities of practice. We are not in this alone. It's been fantastic to have our APSE group. I'd like to see groups of employment support professionals meeting regularly to talk about some of these issues, to strategize together, coordinate employer engagement, so things like job development and employer supports. So how can we go with a united front to approach employers about hiring people with disabilities, working together? I think we can find more success. I think it's important to work on workforce development. How do we bring people into this field? How do we train employment support professionals and grow the, I think everybody's shorthanded right now. I know that all of the CRPs, all of the agencies are, always looking to hire job coaches and employment counselors and job developers. So we need more workforce development in that area. And then making sure that people with disabilities are part of the conversation. One phrase that came up a lot at the national conference this summer was "nothing about us without us." So just making sure that the right people are at the table, and really hoping that this Hawaii APSE chapter can help to make sure that these voices are heard through conversations, through advocacy, through testimonials. So making sure that we're not all hi maka maka. This is what it should be. We need to make sure that all voices are heard for this. The cooperative agreement the cooperative agreement speaks to data collection and sharing. So how are we reporting back our incomes? What kind of feedback are we soliciting? So I think we can do that through the APSE chapter. I think the cooperative agreement should be able to help agencies talk together about what's working, what's not working. We have program policy and procedure evaluation. So we need an alignment to support competitive employment in an integrated settings. This could be things like ensuring rate methodologies for employment services match desired employment first outcomes. I know that Division of Voc Rehab right now is working on matching employment service reimbursement rates to DDD, which is fantastic to see that alignment coming together. Would like to continue to evaluate these things, collect data, and make sure that we're making these data-driven, data-informed decisions. And then training, shared training for all stakeholders about employment first. When I think training, I automatically go to, okay, make sure everybody's a certified, an ACRE certified, or they have their certified employment support professional. But I think it goes beyond that, and making sure that we're training all people, all stakeholders, making sure that we're engaging job seekers and educators who might not need a certification in working with disability employment. I think there's a lot of opportunity to provide training to various stakeholders as well. What else is next? PACRIM 2023 is coming up, and we're looking at having a summit on employment first. So the 38th annual PACRIM International Conference on Disability and Diversity, March 6th and 7th next year. It's going to be a very exciting event, and there will be an employment strand that might be titled Employment First, Employment for All. And then we'd look to have a summit on Employment First on March 8th. And this is an opportunity to bring together all of these stakeholders for a day of training and activities. We can learn from other leaders from around the country about their experiences transitioning from employment first model, and what that looks like. We had some great networking opportunities while we were up in Colorado at the national conference, and I'd love to bring that training and resources back here home to Hawaii. So that's what I have for Employment First. Does anybody want to talk about anything? Anybody have any questions? Thank you for adding the email address into the chat there.
Hi, Patrick. This is Susan Rocco, and I am really grateful for your expertise and your enthusiasm. I'm an old mama whose kiddo is 41 now. And as much as I believed supported employment was going to be a ticket for him, it never materialized. And as I realistically see his talents, competitive employment is not a good fit for him. We are one of the few people in Hawaii that have our own little tiny micro business. But every time I see a presentation like this, you seem to exclude us. Your focus is on competitive employment, and we're that's not where we are. You know, we're doing a little bit as we can, and we're changing people's expectation of what Jason's capabilities are. I just wanted you to say a few words about self-employment.
Thank you so much, Susan. Yeah, and I appreciate that comment, and I appreciate that perspective. We talk about employment first, and we talk about competitive integrated employment as the kind of an ultimate goal. And they say, oh, maybe this should be the first thing that we're aiming for. But self-employment, I think, is fantastic. We'll talk soon about
Thank you for calling Hell's Kitchen. To make a reservation, please press 1 now.
Sorry about that. So what
Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes.
There we go. We'll talk about Work Now Hawaii later. What we do here is more of a supported employment model, and I don't think that these other models should be excluded. Self-employment as an option for people with disabilities is a fantastic. Can be a fantastic way for people to earn money, and definitely should not be excluded from the conversation.
I appreciate hearing that, but my beef is that there has never been any infrastructure built within the DD community to really keep that going. We had the idea presented to us 20 years ago, but and it was about using any employment that was related to a person's list of enjoyable activities, because you don't want to force them to do something they don't want to do. Any of that could help them become more integrated into the community, which is true. But it just seems tough to find a group that's really looking at that or trying to support folks that can do that and want to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about your son's interests and abilities. And you said that he's been participating in some self-employment already?
Teeny tiny. We have a small soap and candle business. And we don't make much money, but we make a statement. So, But it's the whole, and I don't want to take away from it, but if we have everybody singing a song about everybody can be competitively employed, it doesn't ring true for many of us parents whose kids have some significant challenges. So it doesn't mean they can't, be part of the scene, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the perspective of competitive integrated employment is not necessarily that an individual will have the same job description as their peer. There's opportunities for job carving. So there might be some of the skills that your son has developed through this entrepreneurial venture that he can take to an employer. And I think it's important to once again, this goes through the job development and building relationships with employers and saying, well, this individual might not be able to fulfill these parts of the job, but what if we carved out a position and alleviated your team to do these other things while we have this person come in and take care of this very well for you. So I think there's opportunities for customized employment and job carving. And then that should be something that's supported. And that is, once again, a competitive integrated employment opportunity. So I think just making sure that we define competitive integrated employment by also including the option for job carving and customized employment. And I'd love to talk with you more about this. So if you can, maybe we can, if you can drop your information in the chat, that's definitely something. We've worked with entrepreneurs at Now Hawai'i, and would love to learn more about how we could help support those ventures. If you'd like to continue with entrepreneurship, or if you'd be interested in competitive employment, we can talk about how we can approach employers for some job carving opportunities. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Patrick.
So I'm gonna this is Jared. I was gonna say, Patrick, we've had some hands go up. We've had some comments that come over on the chat side. Are you open now to question and answer, or did you or is there additional pieces of topics that you needed to cover before we get to that? I just wanted to check.
I'm happy to take some questions now. I do have another quick presentation about Now Hawai'i in a short video.
Awesome.
But if there's questions related to employment first, maybe we should touch base on those right now.
Sure. Okay. So Gigi, there was a comment there. Would you mind turning your mic on and maybe sharing with the group?
Sure. I know that plenty of the fetal alcohol spectrum people with that disability, they couldn't work a 40-hour week. It would overstress them, and they may be able to work 20 or maybe not even that much, but they can contribute. And also when their brain has to work so much harder than the quote unquote normal person for the same amount of time, that when they do go home, they're exhausted.
Thank you, Gigi. Yes, I do see that a lot. We all have different capacities,
Right.
and there's limits to what we're able to do. And I think approaching employers, including state and county, one thing that I'd like to see on the state and county level moving forward now with this Employment First bill is accommodations to allow for a part-time schedule. You look at the job postings for the state and the city, and you see, oh, okay, it's a full-time position. It's a full-time position. Now, what about opportunities to have some part-time positions available that people that might have limited capacities could succeed at? So that I'd love to see that at the state and city and county level, but also at community employers. And that's why I think it's important to work with the as a united front on our job development.
Thanks, Patrick. We had another hand up. I think it was Bob.
Hold on, let me get my note. I really like the point that the first woman who was speaking, she said, I'm an old time mama. I like the point that she said that the insurance, not the insurance, the business they're helping with the son with, the soap and candles, is not necessarily a profit, but it does make a statement. And for those of us that are doing little small time businesses, I breed birds, and that's exactly what it is. It's not anything, it's a statement for me.
Thank you, Bob, so much for sharing. Yeah, I think we always talk about, jobs and earning wages and independence and self-sufficiency, but there's so much more that comes from a job, and it's that value in our life. It's that statement that we're talking about, and those are just as important as earning a living through financial gains of employment. So yes, very, very important, the value that comes from work.
Also, I think that the notion of independence, like for some, it needs to be interdependence with others with ongoing help. And I think that's an important distinguishment, because everybody talks about independence, but some people can never be totally independent.
I agree. I really agree. And if I may break in, we're talking about like in job developing, that is something that a good job developer can really hone in on that, and we would need some training on that.
Absolutely. Would love to see more training on that, and I'd love to make sure that that's a focus of our APSE member engagement and training committee that we're looking to put together. So I'd love to hear these voices. Perhaps we can, if you'd be interested in sharing some of these perspectives at our next APSE meeting, we'd love to continue these discussions and potential of bringing this training to Hawaii.
Great. Patrick, if you would like to, we'll move on to the work first.
Okay, great. I'm going to try and show a video here. Let me know if this works. So we're going to just talk about Work Now Hawaii for a little bit. This is the nonprofit I started in 2017 to help people with disabilities. So we're about 5 years in trying to help people with disabilities, trying to find out where there are gaps in the system and ways that we can help support it. We just put together a video this last semester.
You have friends, right?
Yes.
What do they have jobs?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because some. I don't know.
You think they'll work if you ask them to work? Like
Yes.
you say, hey, Patrick has a job for you.
Yes.
You want to come work with us?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mhm. I'm doing digital media work and some graphic design work.
Keith Bernard, doing maintenance and
landscaping. So your name is Ron Lake, and you're with the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind?
Right, and my position, I am a coordinator for the transition program.
We're up here at the state building in Pearl City, and we're trying out cleaning. Last semester we worked on landscaping down at Kiwalo Basin Harbor parking lot. And next semester, hopefully we'll be doing something with food service.
He's really good. He's really organized. I make the mess, he cleans it.
The opportunity, is fantastic, for our students to apply the skills that they're learning in the classroom and go out into the community and put those skills to good practice.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit more than just collecting a paycheck. It's not about what we do, it's about the people.
So we all have our challenges, and we need to figure out how to get around that, so that we can work effectively.
Absolutely.
Trying to contribute to society and within others, even including myself, that I'm able to function in a good quality of my life and for myself and others as well too.
again, it's about the quality of life, their option. We all have options. What options are we going with? We can decide, okay, we're going to be helpless, we're going to depend on the community, to take care of us, or is it going to be the other way around? I can provide for the community.
So what excites me about this work, I really enjoy seeing the students realize that when you change the script and you're not told you can't, and you say you can, and you provide the tools and the resources and the guidance, these students have grown and they've learned to overcome their own challenges. Today is one of my favorite days. It's payday.
Did they ask you about your job?
Yes.
What do you tell them?
I tell them to come higher.
Come apply.
Yes, come apply.
Yeah.
So let's get to work.
They're all ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, let's get to work.
So do you have friends?
All right, thank you everybody for bearing with me. I hope that video played okay through the Zoom. Next, we'll talk about Work Now Hawai'i. So this is what I've been working on the past 5 years. We started in 2017 of August, so we're just over 5 years. Our mission has been to create and support employment for people with disabilities. And our vision is employment options for anyone with a disability. I love this John F. Kennedy quote, all of us do not have equal talent, but all of us should have an equal opportunity to develop those talents. We are a 501c3, members of the Hawaii Employers Council, Hano, Disability Inn. We serve transition age youth primarily, age 14 to 22, graduating from high school. We provide paid internships in areas of interest. We help navigate their first work experiences, and we help them start working towards industry recognized certifications. We also help individuals struggling with work because of a disability, doing things like career planning, goal setting, job coaching, job development and training. We help with job placements assistance and employment support. We also help individuals with disabilities looking to re-enter the workforce, navigating their benefits, and getting back into work. Our programs are primarily focused on an individual's interests and abilities, not their disabilities. We provide employment support services, discovery and career planning, individualized job development, benefits counseling, job coaching and supports. And our biggest program is our work-based learning program, and we do that through social enterprise, helping students explore various vocations, office and administrative technologies, custodial services and advanced cleaning, landscaping and grounds maintenance, and we'll have a food service training program coming up this semester. So students have the opportunity to learn these industry-specific skills, but more importantly, what it means to earn a paycheck. So this valuable training in work ethic will follow students throughout their career. Things like showing up on time and looking presentable and having a good attitude while you're at work. So it's not necessarily the skills that they're learning, but it's the value of work and the value of the work ethic that they learn. So we do this, our services are funded primarily through service contracts with the state of Hawaii and the federal government, small businesses, and once again, we're able to provide paid and on-the-job training to individuals in their fields of interest. Custodial services, a custodian, someone who takes care of something valuable or important. So we provide daily and nightly cleaning. Through the pandemic, we trained a few of our individuals on pandemic response and biohazard remediation, which is a great opportunity to get some of our staff certificates that they can use as they approach new employment opportunities. Doing things like advanced floor care carpet cleaning, flood restoration, and mold remediation, and then working towards industry recognized certifications in those fields. We also provide digital marketing services and jobs and training, including website development. We've done photography and graphic design, competitive market e-commerce, and digital office technologies, simple things like using email for communication and spreadsheets, and other areas of interest that we've found people are interested in: food service, landscaping, security services, call services, cybersecurity, beauty and cosmetology. And this is where we can talk about entrepreneurial ventures. We've had individuals that need support with their graphic design business, or various other entrepreneurial ventures. So we're always interested in helping out individuals who are looking at starting their own business or running their own business. We've had various organizations supporting our mission. It's primarily funded by the state and federal government, but we also have some small businesses in Hawaii. Here's just some photos of our team doing their thing. Going through the pandemic was a very interesting experience, but it gave a lot of opportunities for our team to learn some new skills. There we are, cleaning, cleaning, cleaning. We also have time where our team get to meet and work with their coworkers and with our team, and really celebrate each other outside of the workplace. Some photos of us doing our product photography. We were doing some jewelry photography, looked like jade bracelets and pearls. Was a lot of good experience, learning how to use a camera and learning how to sync files and communicate. Doing some more of that, and some paper shredding, carpet cleaning, floor cleaning, lots of floors cleaning. Junk hauling, worked for the Department of Defense in Diamond Head Crater, had an opportunity there. Once again, landscaping was a phenomenal opportunity that we worked with the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind out at Kewalo Basin. And how we measure our success, what are we doing? Are we making a difference? So more job opportunities. So we aim to a spectrum of employment opportunities, options for people living with disabilities based around their interests and abilities. Sometimes that's competitive integrated employment, and sometimes that's not. And we're here to support people in their choices. Quality work environments, creating work environments for people that provide meaningful employment, living wages that lead to self-sufficiency and financial independence. Aiming for successful job placements, and this is for supporting based on individuals' work goals, helping people with disabilities succeed in these inclusive, competitive, integrated employment opportunities. Ways that people can support our mission: provide job opportunities. If you're an employer and you're looking for a loyal and dedicated workforce, let us help you try to find the right individuals to fill your positions. It's all about that job match. And sometimes if there's a customized employment opportunity, you need some things done, we're happy to come in and help employers identify some of those opportunities. Contracting our services. So if you need cleaning or website development or landscaping, soon to have some catering service, let us know. These opportunities help us develop our job and job training for people with disabilities. We're always looking for volunteers as well. So we're seeking workplace mentors for our clients and for help with capacity building or contributing financially. So our services are not funded by the state through VR or DDD. So primarily it's all through service contract revenue and charitable contributions. So we're always looking for charitable contributions. We believe that everybody has abilities to contribute, and their work should be recognized and rewarded with fair pay and creating inclusive work spaces. So that's just a little bit about Work Now Hawaii, and I'll turn it back to the group if anybody has any questions.
Thanks so much, Patrick, for sharing today on a multitude of subjects. I will let you know we do have a couple of other questions that came through on the chat side that are related to the presentation as a whole. And one that came from Sandy. So Sandy, if you'd like, I can read out the question, or if you want to jump on camera, you're welcome to.
Thank you. So Patrick works with my daughter, Laura, and you saw her there in the video. She does digital media work. But I think one of the challenges with her is she can do part-time work, but she has some capacity to take on more hours. The issue, I think, is there's some anxiety challenges, and I'm just wondering what specifically are beyond that, beyond just anxiety, what are the other challenges of trying to get individuals who have the capacity for advanced positions to kind of ratchet up their hours and their capacity? Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. I think that's a fantastic question, and it's one that we've been trying to answer. What are the challenges? And I think it goes back to that first presentation where we were talking about employment first and expectations. You know, typically we've had low expectations for what people with disabilities are able to do, and that needs to change. But the other part being perception. So employers not realizing the value that people with disabilities can provide to their organizations. So with employment first moving forward, hopefully we can work to shift some of those perspectives. We can shift the expectations that people should be able to work up to their capacity, but also showing employers that there is value to hiring people with disabilities. And I know you were maybe speaking specifically to the tech field. So hopefully working to expand opportunities such as internships or apprenticeships is definitely a piece that I think we should look to develop here in Hawaii.
Great, thanks, Patrick. Another question, Patrick, and this is more for the information related to employment first and kind of APSE. Your role in there. What do you vision, or what do you feel is like the direction that you'd like APSE chapter to try to move towards? What do you see, say, in the next year or so?
Thank you. Absolutely. I once again, we talked about cooperative agreement. We talked about employment first, the legislation, and APSE, I feel, is going to be the opportunity to have the conversations and to engage all of the stakeholders. So making sure that the voices are at the table as maybe a primary goal. We did talk at our last chapter meeting about setting up some committees that were really going to shape our path over this next year. So we're a communications committee. So to make sure that we're engaging these stakeholders. So internal communication, external communication, to make sure that our voices are heard out in the community. We also talked about setting up a policy committee to make sure that we're following all of the legislation and making sure that we're taking opportunity to submit testimony. I think we also talked about setting up a policy advocacy committee, making sure that our voices are heard within the government and making sure that these decisions are being made with the voices of people with disabilities. What do we say? Policy advocacy, benefits navigation and planning. One thing that's been a challenge have been perceptions of people who receive SSI or SSDI or other government benefits and what it means to work. And I get calls all the time. Oh, I want to work, but I don't want to lose my benefits. Well, there's a path for that, and making sure that we are able to provide information and resources on benefits. And we think, was there one more? Jared, do you remember if there was one more committee that we talked about?
Those were the ones that stood out to me, actually, for sure. And also those were the ones that Mr. Wally Tablet kind of emphasized that we should focus on. So I think that's great, man.
Oh, I got it. Somebody just put a comment. APSE is a great resource for training too. So training and education. So making sure that we're able to bring in not only industry recognized trainings, but also just informational trainings, just a 30-minute informational session on job coaching and what does that look like. So training being a piece that I think is definitely missing in Hawaii. I know with VR and DDD requiring specific training for employment counselors. Yes, we're going to need some of this national recognized employment service trainings, but also training people, other stakeholders, making sure that we're reaching out to family and youth and job seekers and educators and transition teams. So I feel that APSE will, with a training committee, will be able to make sure that we address those things. And if you also have suggestions on the direction of our chapter, please join and please voice that, because we're working on this together.
And that comment was put in the chat by Amy, who is joining us from the University of Massachusetts, Boston's Community Inclusion Institute. So we're so great to see the broad reach of this topic area for folks to be joining us from the East Coast. So thank you, Amy.
All right, so folks, you know, we're at the top of the hour, or we're getting close there. And Patrick was kind enough to share all this information with us today, especially to advocate and get our efforts and started towards our APSE chapter and all the great benefits and the great ideas that we have to kind of merge all of our thoughts and our talents together and kind of make this employment first go. And on behalf of CDS and Dr. Takahashi and putting this together for our partnership seminars, it was a real treat and a real pleasure to have Mr. Patrick Gartside present to us today. So many mahalos and thank you so much, sir. If there's any other comments or things, Patrick did leave his information on the presentation, and we'll shoot it back to Dr. Monastery to close us out.
Thank you so much, Jared. And again, just thank you, Patrick, for sharing all of those fantastic resources and your knowledge and really, you know, sharing the journey and the path that we've been on here as a state. So again, we have been recording this session. We will be uploading it to the CDS YouTube channel. We will be making the presentation slides available. And again, we have dropped the link to our evaluation form in the chat. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for our next partner seminar series, the second Thursday of October. And Patrick, thank you so much.